When you know the grams of one chemical, grams of A, and you want to know mass or grams, same thing, of another chemical, grams of B, use molar mass, then the mole ratio, and then the other molar mass to convert. Use this balanced equation. H2 plus Cl2 yields 2 HCl. You have 30 grams of H2. How many grams of HCl could you form? So first things first, I'm going to list the information that I know underneath my equation. For H2 here, I know I have 30 grams, and I want to know how many grams, or X, of HCl I can make. So I'm going from hydrogen to hydrochloric acid, or HCl. Now to solve this problem, I'm going to put what I have, that's 30 grams of H2, into my first bracket. Now I need to go from grams of H2 into grams of HCl. So my first step is to use the molar mass of H2. So I'm going to set up another bracket here. I want grams of H2 to cancel out, and I can turn grams of H2 into moles of H2. Now before I put any numbers in, I'm going to put in all of my units first. So grams of H2 and grams of H2 cancels out. Now if I want to get rid of moles of H2, that needs to go on the bottom of this fraction. I can go from moles of one compound into moles of another compound. I'm going from moles of H2 into moles of HCl. Now moles of H2 and moles of H2 would cancel out. In my last bracket here, I want moles of HCl to cancel out. So I put moles of HCl on the bottom, and I want to turn that into grams of HCl. Moles of HCl and moles of HCl would cancel out. I'm left with the only unit uncanceled being grams of HCl, which is where I ultimately want to get. So I know all my units are good to go. Now I can start to plug in some numbers. The first bracket is using molar mass. I know that the molar mass is the mass of 1 mole. And when I add up the mass of hydrogen on the periodic table, hydrogen plus hydrogen gives me about 2 grams. Moving to my next bracket. When I have moles of one compound over moles of another, I can use the mole ratio, which means the coefficients in front of each of my formulas. 2 is in front of HCl. There's nothing in front of H2, meaning we can treat it like a 1. So next to HCl, I'll put a 2, and next to H2, I put a 1. Into my last bracket, I'm working with a grams to moles conversion, which means molar mass. I know the molar mass is the mass of 1 mole. When I add up the mass of hydrogen plus the mass of chlorine, I get a total mass of 36.5 grams. Now I can plug this information into a calculator in order to get my answer. I would take 30, I multiply by what's on top, divide by what's on the bottom. Multiplying and dividing by 1 doesn't change my answer, so anytime I see a number 1, I'm going to skip that. So 30 times 1 divided by 2 times 2 divided by 1 times 36.5 divided by 1. When I plug into my calculator 30 divided by 2 times 36.5, I get 1,095, meaning my answer is 1,095 grams of HCl. This conversion setup that you just did is an example of a grams to grams conversion.